Hey, welcome to Stage Door Theater Podcast, hosted by a couple of average guys. We're very excited, as usual, because we tend to be very excitable. But we get another national tour coming in for Frozen, the musical, and we get to speak to Jeremy Davis, who is playing Olaf. So already,
he's the big snowball that talks, right?
Yeah, he's the coolest guy in the show, I think.
Probably.
Yeah. And so we're very excited. We're going to give him a call and see what he's up to, see what cities he's like living in right now, and when he'll be, traveling and getting on the road and what his life is like. Let's give him a call.
Hello.
Hi, Jeremy. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Wonderful. So I appreciate you being patient with our technical difficulties. Apparently, our little Bluetooth device has an on and off switch.
Guess what we were in?
I never knew that. I never knew.
That pesky on and off switch often gets the better of me as well.
I just got these little fat fingers. I'm just grabbing it and putting it in, and it's on the side of it. And I think I must have just hit it with my fat finger. And I'm like, I don't know why. I've never done this before. So, okay. Well, we are very excited to have you on, obviously, coming to Toledo and representing the national tour of Frozen, the musical.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So I have my very, very first thing I want to ask you and question you is there somebody, young and special out there who thinks you are just absolutely the coolest guy on earth right now?
Well, I hope so.
Besides us.
I mean, I think I'm the luckiest guy on earth right now. I get to play this part and tour around the country doing it. I hope they feel that way. They often sound that way when I walk on stage, and so that's reassuring.
I wasn't sure if you had like kids, a niece, a nephew, anything like that. Is like
I don't have any kids. I do have a niece, but she's like 17. She actually played Elsa when her school did Frozen Junior several years ago.
So she's cooler than you?
Yeah.
Is that what she thinks?
She's pretty cool.
Well, she's right around the correct age, though, to think like Frozen and all that kind of stuff, because I have a daughter who's 22 and a son who's 20, and Frozen was their jam when we were younger, and we went and saw it in the movies. So I was just curious if there was somebody out there that was just thought you were just absolutely amazing and was like telling everybody that they know, like, I know the guy who plays in this part here.
So Jeremy,
my sister does a fair amount of
there
that.
You go. That's fine. That counts. There, see, that's somebody who thinks you're amazing.
So Jeremy, this is Tom. I'm the other guy that's
Tom's here with us. Yeah, sorry.
Hey there.
At what point in time did you actually, have turned into Olaf? You've been doing this for how long now?
Yeah,
I've been in Frozen in one way or another since 2016. Like in 2016, we were doing like developmental workshops of it. We were in a rehearsal room or a small theater, and we had a script that they've been working on for a while and songs, and so we'd like see what they were like up on their feet. And so I was doing that. At that time, I was the understudy.
Nice.
And then I continued in that role as the understudy with our out of town tryout in Denver before we went to New York, and then I did the New York production as well. I took over as Olaf here on tour about a year and a half ago.
Wow. So, but 2016 though, you have been Olaf this whole time.
No. I was the understudy then. So
right. No, we still count it. We still count it. We count you being that person who's workshopping it. Yeah, and doing all those things. You got paid probably, right, to workshop and do these things, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it counts. It counts. You were working with it. You were getting the music together. You were building that all. So in that regard, so I assume you went to college for this. Am I mistaken?
I did. I have a BFA in musical theater performance from Michigan.
Michigan, that's a pretty good musical theater program. Yeah, people are.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it there.
Yeah, a lot of people have come from there. When you were little, did people just say you were amazing and you had to go and do this someday?
No, not really. I started as a dancer. I was really interested. Like when I was a kid, my mom is in the arts. She has a master's in voice performance. She was always very interested in the arts and in the performing arts.
Nice.
And she had all these recordings of ballets done by like American Ballet Theater and New York City Ballet and all that kind of stuff. And I loved them. I watched them. I watched at least one every day. And I was very young, so I don't remember this. So this is all due to my mom's beautiful storytelling. But apparently, when I was 3. She walked into the living room and I was jumping around and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm Bishnikov." And Mikhail Baryshnikov is one of the greatest ballet dancers of all time. And so So she was like, "Oh, do you want to learn how to do that?" And she enrolled me in Nancy Paisley's ballet school, where I was the only boy, and I continued with that for a while. When I got older, I got a little more serious about it and started taking more serious classes. But then it was always a hobby, you know?
Yeah.
And then I got to high school. I started hanging out with the theater kids and the choir kids, and they convinced me
all the cool kids, exactly. All the cool kids.
All the cool kids.
Yeah, where'd you go to school? What country? What part of the city? You know, that kind of thing.
I went to school in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
North Dakota. You went from North Dakota all the way to Michigan. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I started hanging out with them, and they got me interested in theater. And then I saw a movie called Singing in the Rain, and after that, I didn't really care about Baryshnikov anymore. It was just all Gene Kelly all the time.
All the tapping, all the stuff. Yeah. You're like, uh-oh.
So at that point, I started getting serious about it and started wondering if there was a way that I could sort of go pro.
Yeah, do this forever, make money, have somebody pay you to do this. Exactly.
Now, do you use any of this dancing technique with Olaf?
I actually do.
Do you?
Yeah, this if you're not familiar, Olaf is a puppet, and so he's about 3.5 or 4 feet tall, and
he's not real.
No, he's not real. Sorry, Tom. Sorry, he's ruining the magic for you. I'm sorry.
All right, okay.
He's both real and a puppet.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
And so he's connected to me. And the first time I was in him, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never puppeteered before. And he felt heavy and awkward, and I just didn't know what to do with him. And I just felt like I was just pushing around a pile of rocks.
Throwing around this thing, yeah.
Oh, snow.
Yeah. But, I kept trying with it. And then I got a really good piece of advice, which was to think of him as a ballroom dancing partner.
Oh, nice.
And so now that really changed things for me. And now it really does feel like we're dancing together. I'll move one way and he moves with me. Sometimes he'll make a move that I wasn't planning on.
Oh, wait, he forgets you're supposed to lead? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah,
I get that problem with Kyle. He leads too much.
Hey, buddy, I was going this way, and you got to drag him with you, huh? That's funny. No, that's great advice that you got from somebody, though, to think of him that way, obviously, to move him. When you were doing this initially, going to Michigan and all that kind of stuff, this is obviously a pretty big character role that you had to play. Were you always a character role? Have you made your living doing that kind of character type thing instead of being like, I don't know, something else like the romantic lead?
Yeah, I'm not really a romantic lead. I've always been more of a character role. I'm into and sort of the comedy of it all.
Yeah.
I've also, a lot of my career has been as a dancer and in the ensemble. I've done a lot of work of that kind.
Oh, we saw your fat resume, man. You're pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, when you're in the ensemble like that, a lot of times you'll pick up these little bit parts here and there throughout a show, and I think that kind of stuff has really cut my teeth in character acting, because you have to learn how to differentiate your characters throughout a show. Like I've done shows where I've played 4 or 5 or 6 different people throughout the entire show, and you find different ways to make them individual.
Right. So because when you're in the ensemble, one part you might have to be a villager, next part you have to be another thing, and so that's what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to just be Kristoff the whole time on stage for Frozen. You have to be, all these people in the background. So that makes a lot of sense. You learn quite a bit doing those kind of. I was just curious because I feel like somebody like you, obviously playing Olaf, that you've got to have a certain kind of jovial personality. I think you can't just be.
Yeah, well, he brings it out in you.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
The character is so optimistic. He sees this is my favorite thing about him, is that he sees every moment as an opportunity to have fun and is a joyful moment. And so when you start living in that with that idea, it like gets into you. It just brings out that jovial quality.
Nice. Hey, I thought I read somewhere that your wife is on tour with you.
Yeah. How lucky are you, man?
She is.
No, I love my wife.
So you
but I
are
don't
playing a romantic league a little bit then, right? There's that.
Yeah, it feels. We live a romantic lifestyle.
There you go.
It's just the best. I've toured, both of us. We've toured a couple of times. And one of the hardest things about that is being away from your family.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
But we don't have that problem here. So it's just this really beautiful situation we're in, where we get to tour the country and work together and be together. It's just, it's really very, very nice.
Yeah, get the B&B in town, and guys you guys can share it. You know, you know each other.
That's right.
So yeah, I wasn't sure.
That's
like,
right.
but do you do like? Has it been on occasion though that you have had to like go for a tour for a whole year or whatever away from her, and then same with you then?
Yeah.
Like, how do you is that?
Yeah.
And other family
That's
members.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. You find yourself spending a lot of time in front of a calendar figuring out when somebody can visit the other one. And that's just part of, that's part of the gig of being a professional theater actor. There are going to be times when you have to go away and you get used to being able to make it work.
I was wondering how that balance of the work and the family and everything, like, out of curiosity, how did you meet your wife? Were you in a show together?
We were in a show together. We were on tour with South Pacific about 14 years ago. But that's the last time we worked together before this show. So, between then and now, it was all looking at the calendar, making sure we got to see each other as much as we needed to. Yeah.
So that's the other thing too, is you got to fall in love quickly, right? If you met her in South Pacific on your tour, it's like, hey man, I like you a lot. Let's make this happen right now because pretty soon I got to go to another show.
Well, I think sometimes it happens that way. I think for us, I don't know how it happened for us, actually.
Do we need to get her on the phone? Is that what you're saying?
We were really good friends for a long time.
That's good.
And then the romance started after that. So,
do you guys have a home base somewhere, though? Or do you live in New York City, maybe? Or
we lived in New York for a very long time. But, when the pandemic shut our industry down, we ended up giving up our we moved out and we started to live this nomadic lifestyle that we've been living now for the past several years. New York is our home base, I suppose, but we just have a storage unit in New Jersey is basically all we have.
So right now you're just literally living on the road. You don't even
living on the road.
You have no mailing address?
Yeah. No, we use our parents' addresses for.
There you go. Send my mail to mom.
Yeah, right. That's really just to make sure we have, really important stuff that we don't miss.
Right.
But yeah, we'll when all this comes to an end, we'll move back to New York and start again.
If all this comes to an end, you've been doing this forever now. You guys are really killing it. It sounds like being able to maintain a career in the field for a very long time at a high level. So
where are you at right now?
We are currently in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay, good. You're at least not calling us on a weird time zone then. That's good.
No. We're all in the same time zone and we're excited to get to Toledo.
Yeah, all right. Have you been to Toledo before? All these shows you've been in, I feel like you probably ran through Toledo at some point in time.
Strangely, it's one of the few places I haven't been.
Oh my gosh! Well, you're in for a treat. Yeah. Honestly, they love theater in Northwest Ohio. There's even a podcast about it. In case you haven't heard. So
is there?
Yeah, they love it so much. A podcast is supporting this whole thing. So you are gonna have a crowd at this place, I'm sure. Okay. Not that there probably isn't a crowd all the time because it's frozen.
Yeah, we get a good crowd usually. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a strange question. I'm looking at a picture of you performing as Olaf, and you have this hat on.
It's hanging up in your office. What are you talking
about?
It's
hanging up in my office, and it looks warm. Is it hot to wear on the stage? Is it uncomfortable?
Yeah. It's a hat. I wear a winter coat.
Oh my gosh!
And it's a functional winter coat. I could wear it in the cold. So yeah, it can get hot in there, but that's part of the gig. And we have a huge support system backstage. Like Sue McLaughlin, who's our puppet supervisor and key dresser for the puppets, she takes really, really good care of us. And so if I get overheated, she's always there with water or a little hand fan. And we get taken care of really, really well.
I suppose it could be worse. You could be in the Sven outfit.
The Sven, the reindeer costume.
Yeah.
There's a person in Sven.
I think
there's a person in Sven.
Oh, I just assumed it was a puppet. Wow, does Sven actually talk?
It is. No, Sven doesn't talk. He talks. Christoph talks for him, but he's. It's a pretty amazing effect. Sven. Yeah. There are two guys who swap it out. It's always only one guy in the puppet, but because it's very, very physically demanding, they alternate shows. But it's one guy who disappears into the puppet. You won't believe it's a human being.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, have there ever been any, like, costume malfunctions or anything going on with this guy?
Sure.
Or with you? Olaf have any accidents at all?
Yeah, sure. Things happen. I mean, my feet are connected to Olaf's by these couple little rods, and sometimes they break, and that'll happen. Or
full-time prop master back there has to hurry up and fix everything on the fly.
I run off stage, and Sue lickety split fixes it up like we're in the pit, like she's part of the pit crew, and I run back out.
Oh my gosh, Sue is amazing. Obviously, you
Sue
need her.
Sue is amazing.
I saw somebody doing the wigs for the show too on a reel that was popping. I was like, oh my gosh, Elsa's hair is obviously like iconic. You have to have these wig people. Man,
the crew backstage is they are the unsung heroes of every show. They literally, the show cannot happen without them, and they are meant to not be noticed. So so you don't even know it, but they are wizards.
I have gone up and complimented the orchestra before because I go up and say, you know what, I didn't even notice you guys hardly. You were that good.
Yeah, they don't get enough love either.
Yeah, I mean, you only notice them if somebody hits a note wrong. It'd be like, oh, the pit sucked.
Which is very rare, I'm sure.
Yeah, so when I don't notice them, I'm like, man, that pit was on tonight, obviously. They were just doing it the way they should do it there. So you have giant crowds of young people, children that come to these shows, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So how is it different? Does it feel, I mean, you've done other shows, obviously. I imagine that on these national tours with these going from town to town to town, some of these kids get a little rowdy. Do you guys just roll with it? How do you handle that?
Yeah, you got to roll with it. Yeah, the kids can tend to be a bit more vocal and conversational. They can be a little rowdy, and sometimes they'll try to talk to you during your scene, and
you're like,
deal with it.
You're telling me I have to behave at this?
And I mean, sometimes, I'm often tempted to talk back to them. And,
you are, Olaf.
There are a couple moments where I sort of can a little bit, and so sometimes I take those opportunities.
That's probably what Olaf would do.
Yeah, but you probably don't want to encourage it either and have a full-blown conversation on stage with this little girl.
You don't want to digress.
Yeah.
You don't want to digress. But, you want to let those kids have a great experience. Like, you want them to love the theater and to remember it, or if they don't remember it, at least have some sort of inkling of this awesome experience they had when they were young, Yeah,
at least they had a fun time doing something with their parents somewhere, even if it was just that faint. It's great. The last thing you want to do is have I was just curious because, theater is always, when I go, is always, hey man, be quiet, I'm trying to hear this stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I also know going to these kinds of shows that I've been to, it's like, okay, well, there's going to be little ones here at the Lion King. There's going to be little ones here. Yeah. Roll with it. And for the performers, I didn't know if you just have got blinders on sometimes to...
Well, you can't really do blinders because you got to keep your wits about you. You got to know what's going on. But you start to hear that as part of the performance, and you begin to learn to use it.
Gotcha. Probably certain lines you say are certain, like probably when you first walk out, there's an uproar. Right, for Olaf.
There often is.
Like,
hopefully there is.
Oh, here he is, people. Here he is. Oh, I can't contain myself. Yeah, and then when you say funny things and when you start singing your song about summer, you probably, it's gonna. Oh, I got the glare from Tom. Don't sing.
I tell you, it's one thing to sing in a podcast, but to sing to an actual Broadway performer, that scares me, Kyle.
I love it when anybody sings. I'm a big fan of the.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. I'm going to use that for future ammunition against Thomas. Here.
I'm a drummer. I'll just drum.
Oh, well, you know what? When is the show, Tom? We should probably say when the show's going to be.
Oh, I've got that right.
Okay,
here.
good. I can't expect him. Right, I can't expect Jeremy to know when all the show days are. He's just on the bus.
I mean, I tell time by geography, so don't ask me.
It starts Wednesday, April 10th, which is coming up soon. You better get some tickets. And it goes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and through Sunday, April 14th.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows.
Quite a few shows. Now, after the show, do you guys go to the stage door and greet everybody and afterwards? Especially, again, it's a Disney show, so I wasn't sure if you felt obligated to go say hi to the kids. or people
No, I
that
love
do
doing
stage
that.
door podcasts.
I love doing that. I love seeing people out. I go out the stage door, and if there are people there, I'm happy to talk to them and sign anything and take pictures.
Awesome.
What about us big kids?
It does take me a while to get out of costume.
Yeah.
But once I get out there, if people are still there, I'm always happy to do that kind of stuff.
Well, we're going to be there, just so you know. We're going to be, because we love it.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Stage Door Podcast for a reason. Okay, we're going to be at that stage door. You're going to see a couple of old fat guys, and we're going to be acting just like the kids.
And we'll be behind them.
I can't wait.
No,
I can't
that's
wait.
us.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on. Love speaking to you. If you need some restaurant suggestions in Toledo, hit me up. I got a bunch of great places.
Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure to be here.
All right. Thanks man.
Jeremy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.